Okay, moving along. So yes, they've set up a system of government. They're trying to control. They're trying to gain control of New Spain, the indigenous people, and the main thing is that the Spanish government is trying to make a profit off of this colony. It's the whole point of having the colony. One way that they're going to make a profit off of it, one of the main ways, is through discovering precious minerals such as silver. In the 1540s, the government is going to discover a huge amount of silver in the area of Zacatecas, going north from Mexico City in northern Mexico. And so in this area, in Zacatecas, you're going to find a huge amount of silver. So they're going to start developing silver mines in that area. And there's going to be a massive amount that comes out. And we'll talk about where that silver ends up in just a minute. But for a while there, for the first several decades after discovering this silver, the Spanish are going to have a difficult time exploiting that silver and mining it because local indigenous people who live in that area of Zacatecas, the Chichimecas, remember we talked about the Chichimecas? There's still, Chichimeca tribes who live in that area. They're going to be attacking the Spanish as they try to bring supplies to their mining towns. So basically, you're going to have some trouble there, some resistance from the native people because they don't like the Spanish going through their territory. Okay? That goes on for decades. And the Spanish are unable to defeat the Chichimeca. Remember we talked about the Chichimeca, how great warriors they are, right? We talked about the Toltecs who are descended from the Chichimecas. Right? We talked about the Purepecha, right? And the Tarascans who claim to be Chichimeca because they have that warrior lineage. Remember all that? Well, the Chichimeca tribes, they live in northern Mexico, right? Because there's still some people there that didn't migrate into central Mexico. Okay? And so they're going to be challenging the Spanish who are trying to go through their territory and mine for silver. Right? And so this goes on for decades. And eventually the viceroy at that time, his name is Luis de Velasco. Velasco is going to figure out a way to work with these Chichimecas so that the Spanish could mine for the silver in the area of Zacatecas. All right? And so he basically is going to do this through a policy of conciliations. Basically, he's trying to work with these individuals, work with these tribes by giving them gifts. Okay, he's going to supply them with gifts, cattle, things like that, and through giving them these gifts, they're going to agree to stop attacking the Spanish mule trains who are bringing supplies into the mining towns in Zacatecas. Okay, because you got to get those supplies there, you got to take care of those individuals, the miners who are working. So, so this is how they basically buy off the Chichimecas because they're unable to subdue them militarily. Okay, because there's decades of war going on there, the Chichimeca Wars. Okay, and the last thing that we'll cover here in this lecture is further exploration taking place and colonization for the Spanish. Okay, so for one, you have the Spanish trying to find something called the passage, Northwest Passage, or the passage to Asia. Okay, so basically they're looking for a sea route, so a route using the oceans to go from the Atlantic to the Pacific and get to Asia where they can conduct trade with China and India, because that's one of the huge areas of trade. That's where the center of global trade is taking place in the Indian Ocean with China, India, Southeast Asia. East Africa used to be involved in that before the Portuguese got there. And so this is a center for global trade, and so this is the whole reason why Columbus was sailing in the first place. Remember, Columbus was trying to get to Asia to conduct trade for spices and silks and porcelain and all that stuff that's made there, right? Pepper from India, cotton, goods, cloth, all that stuff from India. So basically, they're trying to find a quick way to get there from the Atlantic Ocean instead of having to go around the Cape of Good Hope in southern Africa, okay? So they're trying to fulfill Columbus's mission. And so Spain will send out another explorer to try to do this, and that's going to be Ferdinand Magellan. And ultimately, Magellan will be successful, in finding a passage through the Americas, but basically he's going to have to go all the way down to the southern tip of South America through this waterway, which is now known as the Strait of Magellan. And so you go through this waterway down at the tip of South America, and then you can make your way into the Pacific Ocean, and then you can get to Asia to conduct trade, right, with China and India and Southeast Asia. Okay, you can make a lot of profit off of that trade. That's why they want to get there. Okay, so the Spanish will eventually colonize the Philippines, and from the Philippines, this is where they're going to be conducting a lot of trade with China and other Asian powers. Okay, and so this is where you get the Manila galleons. Manila, of course, is a city in the Philippines, and this is where you have a lot of trade being conducted with the Spanish and the Chinese and other Asian powers. And so all the goods that they buy are going to be put on ships, large treasure ships, and they're going to be sent back to Mexico, to New Spain. And those goods, some of them will remain there in New Spain, and the rest of those goods will be brought over to the Gulf of Mexico and sent to Spain itself. Okay, and this is a bunch of luxury goods, all kinds of stuff that you can make a lot of money on. You buy silk goods, you buy porcelain, all those kind of goods that you can get from Asia. You can sell them for a lot of money. Okay. And how are the Spanish buying all these goods? The silver from Zacatecas, huge amounts of silver, right? And we'll talk about the silver when we get to the questions, the reading questions, right? But huge amounts of silver. And that silver is going on these Manila galleons, going to Asia, buying all these goods, coming back, okay? And then eventually making its way all the way back to Spain. Okay, so that's the importance of the Asian trade, because you can get all these goods and then you can sell them to Europe, to your colonies, and make a huge profit. Okay,